Hello Stampers, this is Susan with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have a card to share with you today. It's not an original. I'm casing this from a demonstrator in the UK, and she says on her blog she's casing it from somebody on Pinterest. So at least 3 of us are enjoying this card and copying and sharing it with those of you that we stamp with. So I hope you enjoy it as we go along. We're going to use some new product coming from our new catalog that starts in June of 2017, and we're also using some of our previous items. So let's just review real quick. We're going to be using Number of Years stamp set, and we're going to be using this leaf image here. We're also going to be using a new stamp set, Happy Birthday Gorgeous, and we're going to be using some of these flowers and some of the words. And then I'm also using, to make these letters on top, we're going to use our large letter framelits, which are in the catalog. If you get them before the end of May, you can get them bundled with the stamps that coordinate, or after May 31st you can get them as individual items without the discount for the bundle, the words or the letters framelits. So let's go ahead and get started with our card making. So step that there. We're also going to be using 4 of our new in colors. So I hope you enjoy the little sneak peek here. So I'm starting with my 100-pound Whisper White cardstock, and I have my card base. And I'm going to be using the Happy Birthday greeting from that new stamp set. And I'm going to take my marker and use my paintbrush tip. And so what I'm going to do here is omit stamp. So the stamp says Happy Birthday, but since we're going to be cutting the happy out of our letters, we only want the birthday part. So I'm just going to ink up the birthday part with my marker. Ink on there. Then I can see through my photopolymer stamp and block, so I can just place my birthday word down here at the bottom. Okay. Then I'm going to take that to the Big Shot machine, and I'm going to use my embossing folder, Gently Falling. And you'll want to put this in flat, line up your edge with your score line. Okay, you're going to run that through the Big Shot. And when you're done, you're going to want to run it through fat. When you get done, you're going to have your card, the front will be embossed with the word underneath. So you want to stamp the word, then do the embossing. Okay, so that's going to be my card front. Now, the kit demonstration is going to have 3 of these Whisper White 100-pound cardstocks. 2 of them are going to create white, just plain white letters that spell out the word happy. Okay, you're going to have 2 layers that are plain white, and what we're going to do with those are layer them up. You can use a liquid glue or your snail, but we simply take the 2 layers and stick them together. We used to carry pressboard letters, and so in lieu of not having pressboard letters, we can make our own just by layering up the cardstock. So I just put a little adhesive between the layers, put them together. That'll be 2, and after we get our 3rd layer with the stamps on it, we'll put that on top as well. So we're going to make our own layered letters. So I have the first 2 layers ready to go here. Okay, and in my blog I show you how I first cut out the H and the Y, then I run it through again and cut the A and the far P, and then I do the last P. So you can get all your letters out of this size of cardstock. So now we're going to do some stamping, since this is Stampin' Up. So I'm going to start with my in color Lemon Lime Twist, and I've got my stamp from the Number of Years stamp set, so I'm just going to ink that up. So we're just creating some leaves that are going to help us fill in the space with our flowers. They can overlap. You can make them thicker or thinner. So as many leaves as you want. Because remember, we're going to cut the letters out of this, so you may have a lot of stamps on your paper, but after we cut the letters out, there won't be as much there. Okay, so that was our lemon lime twist. Now I'm going to do two-step stamping. Okay, there's two stamps. There's an outline stamp and a solid stamp for the flower I'm using. I'm also going to be using three colors. I'm going to start with our new powder pink, then I'm going to move to my berry burst, and then I'm going to step up to the fresh fig. So I'm starting with my lightest color, going to my darkest color, and that way I don't have to clean my ink off my stamp each time. It's a little trick. If you're going to use similar colors and go from lighter to darker, you don't have to clean that stamp. Now something else you might notice is my stamp, both of these stamps, have a little nub on them that looks like an arrow, and that's so that you can help place the two-step stamp over the first one and know which way it goes. So I, by rule, am going to have my little nub point to the left for both stamps. Okay, so I'm going to start with my outline stamp and my powder pink, and I'm just going to put my flowers on, and it's okay if it goes over the green. Just making a collage of color. Okay, so now I'm going to go with my solid stamp and keeping my arrow in that same direction. And I stamped once, I stamped twice without re-inking, so I got two kinds of pink there. If it's darker than you want, just stamp it off once. Huff in between. If you don't get enough, go ahead and just go over the top. No worries. So, lighter, darker, it's your card, make it your way. Play with your ink a little bit, getting that different layers of darkness and lightness on there. Oh, one more. Okay, so that's my lightest color, my powder pink. Now I'm moving into the berry burst, so I'm going to go back to my outline stamp. I'm going to add my berry burst, and again, your flowers can overlap. It's okay. Because remember, like I said, we're going to be cutting letters out of this, so you're not going to see all of this craziness after. Now with the darker colors, I'm definitely stamping off once because I really want the outline stamp to show prominently. As you can see from my scrap mat, I've been doing this for a couple of cards as I've been working in my stamp room. Okay, so that's the berry burst. Then we're moving to the fresh fig. Going back to my outline stamp. And I'm trying to keep my stamping kind of to the lower 2/3 of my Whisper white cardstock. And that's kind of on purpose. I want the intention is that when I cut the letters out, the top will be white, but all that color will be in the bottom. So again, it's your card. You can decide how you want to manage that space, but I did do that with intention. And again, I'm stamping off my fresh fig, so it's a little bit lighter than full ink. And that kind of lets you see the green behind it. If there's another flower lined up next to it, they overlap, but they don't block each other out. So it's a nice way to get a lot of color in a small amount of space. Okay, so there we go. We've got our flowers on there. Okay, so and every time you do that, it's going to be different. There's no, we're not really lining things up. It's just to make a collage. Like here's another one I did earlier. So similar, but different. So now you're going to take that to your big shot with your dies, and we're going to cut the letters out. And so like I said, I started at my big shot, and I did the H and I did the Y. Okay, so those came out. Then I did my A and my second P. Okay, and those came out. And then I went back a third time and did my middle P. Okay, and that way you can get those letters out of that piece of cardstock. Your dies bump up against each other a little bit, so that's why I had to do them kind of in sequence. So there are our letters. And if you were to save your pop-outs for your A and your P's, you could even use this piece on another card and have the word happy in the reverse. So, other ideas for another card to come another day maybe. Alright, so now we just have to add our stamped layer to our white layers. I'm just going to put some snail. I'm not worrying about snailing the entire letter. I'm just adding it to kind of the thicker parts. And if you have Tombow or fine tip glue, you could use that as well. Just for the sake of ease, I'm using the snail. Okay, so now I just put those on top, kind of like a puzzle piece, just layering it up. So as you can see, I'm making my letters. And I have my H. Okay, so there's our letters. Now we're going to go back to our card front. Okay, so now I'm going to use my glue dots, and I'm just going to put some on the back of my letters. And you're just going to place that letter at the beginning. And now you're going to want your letters to be touching because they just fit on the width of the card. So an H, my A, I feel like I should have hold music playing. Not a lot to say right here. So, I know. I always tell people when you get to a boring part of my video, you can just fast forward a little bit because you know what to expect here. I just physically have to be putting it down. So here we go. Second P. And then the Y. Alright, so then the next part is we're going to add our ribbon. So I just take a hole punch. I'm going to place a hole in the front of my card. And I take my length of ribbon and I feed it through the back. Call this a cheer bow. Then you wrap it around the whole card and come back and you put the other end through that same hole. Pull it to the front. And you split it. One goes up and one goes down behind that ribbon. And then you just tie a single knot. Snug that up. So now you've got your ribbon on there, and then if you bring your two tails together and trim that, they'll be even and symmetric. So there's that. Then on the inside, I've got this cute 2 stamps from the new set, Happy Birthday Gorgeous. It says, "Hip hip hooray, it's your day." And so I'm going to ink that up and put that right in the center. And there we go. We've got our card made. And then for the envelope, I just kind of did the same idea with the flowers. I stamped it with the green, and then I put some of those 2-step stamps on there to make this envelope decorative well. And there we go. So it takes a little time. You got to do your die cuts. You got to do your stamping. But have fun with it and enjoy it. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, happy stamping!